Welcome back, listeners. Today we're diving into a conversation with Jennie Coleman, the co-owner and president of Equifruit, a company revolutionizing the banana industry with a bold commitment to Fairtrade. Jennie's journey has taken her from global adventures to the world of produce, where she's challenging norms and advocating for fair wages and sustainable practices. In this episode, Jennie shares her inspiring story and what it takes to drive global fair trade banana domination.
This episode of the Fresh CrEd is proudly brought to you by Equifruit. Listen up, banana lovers. Let's talk about Equifruit, the banana brand on a mission for global fair trade banana domination. Yeah, you heard us right. This isn't your average banana. Equifruit is here to make a difference, one banana at a time. When you buy an Equifruit banana, you're supporting fair wages and ethical practices for farmers across Latin America. It's what we call banana justice. Equifruit bananas prove that paying farmers fairly doesn't end the world. It just makes it better. So next time you're at the store, don't just buy a banana. Make a choice. Be bold. Be fair. Choose Equifruit because a better world starts with paying farmers fairly. Visit equifruit.com to learn more.
All right, so welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're now being joined by Jennie Coleman, co-owner and president of Equifruit. Good morning, Jennie. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Jennie, where do you live? Where are you based?
Yeah, I'm based in Montreal,
Okay.
Canada. I am Canadian, but I have lived in many parts of the world. My dad did international work, so we lived in Washington, D.C. when I was a little person, and then in France for 3 years, so I speak fluent French, which is very useful in Quebec.
Yeah.
I'm what we call in Canada an Anglophone. English is my mother tongue, but of course I live now in the French-speaking province of our country. As an adult, I've sort of continued that international curiosity, so I did part of my studies in Germany, and after university, I went and worked for 2 years in Namibia in southern Africa on a volunteer program that really opened my eyes to what life is like in a totally different part of the world and reminded me that, fundamentally, we're all the same. We all want what's best for our kids. We want safety and security. We want meaningful work, no matter where we're from. And this really ties into the work that I do now at Equifruit, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Sure. So I was thinking just one thing. What brought you to your path to volunteer work, the Namibia 2 years? How did that opportunity present itself, or how did you come to the realization that you want to do that, or that you needed that?
I had a great time at university, and I loved my year in Germany, and I just felt that I knew a lot about Europe and Germany more specifically, and having had this childhood experience in France, I just felt like, I kind of figured this out, and there's a whole lot more to the world to discover. And I had lined up through my church to go and work in Brazil with the twin diocese of the Anglican Church. Oh my gosh, we're really in the mudworks right now. But that fell through, and then I was like, oh gosh, that was going to be my opportunity to see something. And so I sought out other opportunities. And the program in Namibia, which doesn't exist anymore, was called World Teach. It was run by it's an American program run by the Harvard Institute for International Development. And I was just intrigued by it. Namibia at the time had been independent of South Africa only a few years. They had, at independence, chosen English as their new official language, replacing Afrikaans, which was seen as kind of the language of the oppression of the apartheid years. And they needed a whole wave of teachers to come and help teachers improve their English so there'd be a ripple effect in the classrooms. And I just found that fascinating, and it was. But soon after I got to my school, I realized we didn't have a teacher for our grade 2 class, and so I just jumped in as a classroom teacher. I wasn't trained to do that, and I realized, how can you get kids to read or learn if there's nothing to read from? We really had no resources. So I put my energies into building a library at the school. I wrote to donor agencies and publishing houses and friends and family, and if I'd known you then, you'd have got a letter.
Way to get a letter, man.
Yeah, that's right. And set up a library at that school, left after 2 years with a library of about 5,000 primary school items and had our kids reading. And it was amazing. I loved it. And I came home and did this second master's that I just referred to in library and information science. So I'm hoping.
Just for fun.
I'm hoping that I'm the first librarian you've ever had on the show.
I got to believe you
think
are
Thank you.
absolutely.
I can almost guarantee it.
Yeah.
You see, I'm
Fairly certain in that.
breaking pathways.
You are.
Everywhere.
All right, so Equifruit,
Yeah.
right? So we've kind of jumped into the story, right? So and let's Equifruit is it's known for bananas,
Yeah.
right? And I was under the understanding you were the founder, but you were not. So real curious, how do you go from libraries
Yeah.
To bananas.
to bananas? That's the
That's
trajectory.
actually the name of, that could be the name of a book.
From libraries to bananas.
Hmm.
You guys can ghostwrite it.
Yeah, we will ghostwrite
I was
for
thinking
you.
children's
Yeah.
book, but okay.
That's right. It'll be one
That's more up
chapter
your
long.
alley.
It'll be a magazine article. Yeah. So after the library school, I didn't actually really ever work in a library. I
You just built libraries. You didn't actually work there.
That's right. Come on. Yeah. My first job out of the master's was in a banking and insurance agency, like organization in the heart of what Canada would call your Wall Street.
Right, the
Bay
financial
Street.
district.
That's right, in Toronto. And from there, I got recruited to McKinsey, the consulting firm.
No, were
as
you
a
a trader?
researcher.
Were you a stock trader?
Oh, no, I was running their information center.
Okay.
And
Their library, so to speak.
yeah, that's right. I mean, it was already by then, this was 1999 or so, it was already pretty much digital already.
Right.
But at any rate, moved to McKinsey, moved to a Canadian manufacturing company called Bombardier, which has now kind of been split up, but at the time we did planes and trains.
Yeah.
And soon after I started, they said, hey, why don't you go get your feet wet? I started in the corporate office and the strategy team there. They said, why don't you go get your feet wet in operations? I moved to Zurich in the locomotives business unit, so I may also be the first guest on your show who knows something about the global
About the
locomotives
trains.
market.
Trains, planes, automobiles.
The
trains,
Q&A, you
bananas.
can ask me all of your questions.
How about
And
trains?
Bombardier was a great school for me. I was in Zurich, moved to Berlin, met the person I'm now married to. We moved to Beijing. We had our first baby, back to Berlin, and finally back to Canada.
Goodness.
And that first baby, unfortunately, though I love her deeply, is profoundly disabled. And she really, not her, but her situation just turned my life upside down. You know, this kind of A-type who's thinking about this big international career now
Right.
realizes that most of my life is spent caring for this little person and going to appointments and doing therapy. And Bombardier was very, honestly, 10 points to them. They were very understanding throughout all this. I even got promoted. But I just, it was just such a tough spell in my life. And we then had a couple of more kids. And when baby number 3 arrived, I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I can't carry on with my corporate job.
Right.
But basically, since that experience in Namibia as a younger person, I think that experience of building something was really well anchored in my being. And when I discovered the world of business, then I, for like 15 years, I'd go home and say to my husband, I've got this new business idea, and what if we do this, and what if we do that? So, yeah, when baby number 3 came, I thought, this is the moment. I'm gonna launch a business and live my life a little bit differently. And in the end, though I had a million crazy ideas.
Now you're back in Canada at this point in time?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
back in Montreal.
Okay,
by
Montreal.
then.
Okay.
And instead of going from zero, I ended up finding an ad by a small business broker that said, small business with high ethical standards, suitable for somebody who's looking for flexible work. And I'm like, sign me up, pick me. So I call the broker. We meet for about an hour. He asks me all kinds of questions. He's trying to decide whether I'm the right fit for this business that he hasn't yet revealed. And I seem to make the cut. And he has this manila folder that he slides across a boardroom table to me. And that is Equifruit.
Seriously.
Yeah.
A business broker.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I look at this business, and my first reaction is, fruit. That's fun. Which everyone listening to this knows that's like.
That's fun. That's a tagline right there.
That's
Fruit.
right.
That's fun.
That's not always 100% fun. It can be pretty stressful too. But I mean, fundamentally, I love being in the produce business.
It's better than digging ditches. Let's put it that way.
It sure is. And then there was the fact that this business had been 100% fair trade since day one. And that really harkened back to my younger values, and the things that I learned in Namibia, that if you have meaningful economic activity happening in a community, then those people, whether it's in a village in Namibia or our growers in Peru or us here in Atlanta right now, when we have meaningful economic activity, we can make decisions ourselves about the development of our communities. And that's really what fair trade is about. We work with growers. This is not a pity project. This is not a charity. This is business. Mm-hmm. Fair trade is still business. And growers have to send us quality fruit, and we then pay a fair price for it, a price that represents the cost of sustainable production, sustainable economically, socially, and environmentally. And in addition, there's what's called the fair trade social premium. In the case of bananas, this is $1 per 40-pound case of bananas, which doesn't sound like much, but I'm sure you know the banana business.
I spent 14 years in Chiquita.
Well, there you go.
So.
The banana business runs on volume, and the more volume you do, the more impact you do. And yeah, I love it. It felt to me like it was just a drop from heaven, and my journey was coming full circle.
So when you bought the business, right? So was it Equifruit when you acquired it, or
it was called Equicosta.
Equicosta?
Yeah, and 100% of people that I told about the business in the first 3 months said to me, "Oh, are the bananas from Costa Rica?" And I would say no. And I just thought that was kind of like a really terrible way to start every single conversation.
Right.
And so we changed the name to Equifruit. We're kind of Equibananas right now, but we still live the dream that we will expand into other tropical fruits. Obviously, when you learn about agricultural supply chains generally, that's even beyond fruits and vegetables, you understand that farmers have got to get paid.
Yeah.
And we could probably improve working conditions for small growers and plantation workers in a lot of commodities.
Where are you guys? Where are you guys coming out of?
Where are we sourcing from?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working with growers in Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Nicaragua, and Mexico.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, immediately when you told me what the name was, the first thing went through my head is, oh, they must be in Costa Rica where they're coming out.
I know.
And you don't do any out of Costa Rica.
No.
Which is crazy.
No, and they never had.
Yeah.
They just kind of loved Costa Rica.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Costa
Everybody,
Rica.
yeah, you're gonna say if you've been to Costa Rica, it's a great place. It is a place of love for sure.
It's not conducive to great conversation.
So what year did you?
That was 2013.
2013. So
Yeah.
wow,
I've been at this a day or two now.
Well, but I mean, you guys have moved fast, right? I mean, what is that? 11 years?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
We. As I say, when I made the joke about fruit not always being fun, I'm not going to say that those first 2 years were just 2 tons of fun. Like, we were really running. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about the produce industry, about bananas, about even running a small business. You know, I'd worked in a great big corporation where when I had an HR problem, I just call HR, and suddenly you are HR and finance and marketing and sales and operations and everything in one person. So, yeah, that was all a big shock.
And my first thought is, like, your first year, you must have had to go to the tropics quite a bit, and it seems like a daunting, long trip from Canada, but it could have gone another way. I mean, it could.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how the business was set up at the time, if you had to or needed
Yeah,
to.
I did, but I think that that's probably where my kind of adventurous background held me in good stead. That wasn't that scary.
Really?
It was just kind of exciting to actually understand what it was that I was trying to sell. And to this day, I just love visiting our growers. It's a way to reconnect with our mission, to understand why
Why you do what you do?
why we do what we do.
Well,
Exactly.
You pick the number one item in produce, and actually, I mean, undoubtedly.
And the most fun.
Well, but it bananas. 10% of a produce department's
Yeah,
sales come from bananas. 1% of the entire grocery store. So
Yeah.
1%. If you think about all the items the grocery store sells, over 1%
It's crazy.
is bananas.
yeah,
Heard that.
So you pick that category,
yeah,
but it is also, and I know from experience, the most competitive. It is ridiculous
yeah.
how cheaply bananas are. It's
Bananas
better.
are
It's better
cheap.
today than when I was hustling bananas,
Yeah.
but it's still ridiculous the amount of people that touch and where they ship from, because everything comes from,
Far.
yeah, it's nothing's close, and so. Yeah, you didn't step off into one of the easier
Yeah.
produce categories. So you picked, like I say, the big boy.
Yeah, but don't you think that in life, if we had 100% of the information, we'd never do anything, right?
Oh.
I was completely naive. I was totally naive. And so part of those first couple years, we're trying to figure out what's your story. What story are you telling when you're selling a different kind of banana?
Yeah.
We're still selling a Cavendish banana. We don't do taste tests unless you have a very fine palate and can pick up the sweet taste of trade justice. It's the same banana. It's been grown differently because it's been grown more sustainably by people who are earning a fair wage and where growers are investing in their land and thinking about tomorrow. But it's a huge challenge to sell a mindset change. We just have added a salesperson to our team. This is her second week. And last week I said to her, your business card may say sales manager, but what you are doing is changing mindsets. We go in and we speak to retailers. We say we understand that for literally 100 years, the banana shtick has been to sell throughout the supply chain, but particularly at retail, to keep banana prices very, very low to attract customers into store. We're here to tell you two things. One, this has had consequences. This has consequences at origin that then have global consequences. Like, just think about migration patterns. That's just one element. I don't want to get into the global geopolitics of it all, but we can't deny that. And the second thing is that retailers themselves aren't making any money. The difference between the low prices at retail and what a sustainable price would be for that banana is an enormous gulf. We're not like fighting over 3 or 4 cents a pound.
Yeah.
We say, take the time to do a reset on your banana program. Rethink your procurement of this commodity. Partner with a company like Equifruit that has the credibility to have always done Fairtrade, and raise banana prices. And guess what? The sun is still going to come out. It's amazing. Have you seen that there's sun out today?
Yeah.
despite the fact,
even though you guys, even they're taking banana prices up,
yeah,
that's you know what,
despite the fact that we have been on the list of Canada's top growing companies for 3 years in a row now, by partnering with retails to raise banana prices, and the sun still comes out.
Imagine that.
Yeah. There it is.
You know, and that's again, in this business, right? I mean, it's interesting to hear, you know, and obviously your background, starting libraries and all those, that whole history kind of has brought you into the produce business to where people will look at it completely different,
Yeah.
right? Because it is how the business is done, and it is driving to that lowest cost as you
Yeah.
can. I mean, across everything. So it's, I say, it's interesting in the story that you tell. Honestly, I guess I probably wasn't as clear on Equifruit and the whole mission, but
Yeah.
that's a good sales pitch.
Yeah,
I like
well,
that.
thank
That's
you.
that you very well constructed sales pitch there for sure. No,
You
it
know,
makes a lot of sense.
we often say that we're aiming for, well, it's our vision, global fair trade banana domination. And that's our vision. That doesn't mean that Equifruit is going to get 100% of that pie. What we want to do is to change the banana industry. And we want our competitors to be on board with this too. We want them all giving the same message. That 100-year era of low prices with terrible consequences, that's done. Let's try a new version of this banana supply chain or banana business model.
So, but I think it has an, you know, the other thing is, I mean, you speak about but it's an umbrella effect, right? I mean, you know, if you guys are able to do it with the big category, right?
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, you know, obviously you as a company, I'm sure will pineapples, mangoes, those, but as an industry, if you get a mindset to change in that particular
Yeah.
category, then potentially you've got because it's a tough business all the way through,
Yeah.
especially at the farm level.
Yeah.
The farm level's where it is honestly the hardest way to make money is in
Yeah.
the farming side of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think you can see this, but
What you got there?
farmers got to get paid, baby.
Farmers got to get paid.
No. So that was a really nice wind up. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't think you even knew that.
I did not know that.
She was looking for a spot for that.
She fit it in right there.
Oh yeah.
Well,
It was very timely.
I've seen, is Mason just waving at us because he likes us?
I
or
think
is
he's
he trying
doing
to tell us
some
something?
sort of calisthenics,
Oh my gosh, he's always
jumping
exercising.
jacks or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know what he does.
It might have been that triple espresso he had before we started, but as usual, our time went by way too fast. But I get the feeling that this won't be the last conversation we have with Jennie. So, you know, I learned something today. I'm sure our listeners will learn something today, or when they listen to this podcast, video.
Well, and really appreciate you coming in. Like I say,
Thank
because
you.
honestly, you know, for your company, I mean, there's not a lot of the story. Most people don't even, don't know you, frankly, right? You're kind of behind the scenes, so
You really have to hit people over the head with stuff sometimes.
but it
If you haven't
Okay.
noticed.
really
I'll
appreciate
just
you.
go get mallets. And,
Yeah, really.
That might be the marketing campaign for next.
yeah, that's right. Hit the trade show
In the
floor.
Bay Area, there was a logo for a pest control company, and it was a big mouse with a huge, like, hammer.
Oh, and a
you
big
know?
small
like a
bug.
real oversized
Yeah, yeah.
hammer. And he's
They're in Arizona now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You use them? Okay. I was going to say, I told you should. Huh? Yeah, it's a great marketing campaign.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks so much for having me. And
Thanks for being
I
here.
hope that your listeners will follow Equifruit. Please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and
So
Look
where,
for- look
where
for
do they
the
find us?
banana
Badass.
masses.
Banana Badass.
Exactly.
that's right.
Yeah, but now it's not bananabadass.com, is it?
No, it's actually, I think we've got that.
Do you?
I think that may be,
If not, we should go.
that domain
lock
may
it
be
up.
owned by us.
Yeah.
But equifruit.com, EQUIFRUIT.com. Of course, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram. Is great to follow. I take no credit for this because I have this team of brilliant people working for me who have brains that I should be studied by science. They're So creative and wonderful. We're on TikTok. I do a little bit on Twitter, but not much. Yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah, you guys are very proficient with your social media, so
Yeah.
you do a great job.
Thank
You very much. Like I say, it's love to have. I mean, you're obviously a risk taker,
Yeah.
which I love, and you know, all over the place. Like Ed said, we're gonna have you come back, and we'll do this again.
Well, we'll do a field trip. Well, I want to do something.
You want to go to
out
Canada,
field.
don't you?
Sure.
Canada or down to Origin to meet our
I mean,
growers.
What's that?
Or down to Origin to meet our growers.
Oh my gosh, let's
honestly,
do
either.
that. I'd love. You been to the tropics?
And that wraps up our conversation with Jennie Coleman of Equifruit. We hope you enjoyed hearing about her journey and Equifruit's bold mission to bring fair trade practices to the banana industry. It's inspiring to see how a commitment to fairness and sustainability can make a global impact, one banana at a time. If you're as excited as we are about Equifruit's vision for global fair trade banana domination, be sure to follow them on social media and learn more at equifruit.com. And don't forget to check out our other episodes for more stories from leaders shaping the future of the produce world.